talk about something that, as a teacher, I know is crucial for your kiddo to learn by 4th grade, which I believe is around age 9-ish, 10. But as a parent, you may not realize. And whether you're homeschooling or whether you're in the public schools, this is going to be a topic you really, really need to know. What is it? It's going to be the benefits of reading and learning nonfiction for your kiddo. So first, we're going to talk about when your kiddo was little. Do you remember when your kid was young and they would constantly say, why? Your kid was so curious about the world. You would get a picture book about whales, trucks, firefighters. He or she just wanted to see everything around them and how it worked. These books that answered those why questions and sated your child's curiosity were nonfiction books or materials that presented factual information, stories rooted in real life, and educational content. While fiction engages the imagination and thoughts and stories and characters that may or may not exist, nonfiction serves as a window to understanding our world. As we get older, it seems like fiction, I don't know if it's easier to read or more engaging to read, but it seems like people start to shift towards fictional reading and many avoid nonfiction. Now, even though they were drawn to it initially when they were young, I've spoken before about the importance of reading to your child. Just reading, period. However, I have never gone into details about why it is so important that your child understands the language of nonfiction writing. Benefits of children reading nonfiction. There are many benefits to reading nonfiction that go above and beyond reading fiction books. So all of the benefits of reading fiction still apply here. But now we're going to go on to the benefits that go beyond that. The whole reason I wrote this entire article was for this particular benefit. Preparation for future learning. I don't know if you guys realize, but much of your child's academic success is completely reliant upon how well they can read nonfiction once your kiddo is in about the 4th grade. It is at this point that students start learning other subjects by reading about them. I'm going to explain that. So up until through 3rd grade, it is assumed that children are not reading at a big enough level that they can learn through reading. So they're learning how to read. They're still developing their skills in reading. So their social studies, their sciences, that's all much more hands-on. It's through manipulatives. It's that kind of thing. But once they get to 4th grade, they're usually given like a science text or a social studies text. And within that, you have columns to read, and then you have graphics, and then you have for deeper understanding, or you have bolded words, or you have accompanying activities. And there's a whole different way you read that, but they learn about the topics. Like, let's say they're learning about gravity. It's fun if their teacher does a gravity experiment, but they learn about the concept of gravity in the science book, reading about it. So you also have knowledge expansion. Nonfiction books cover a vast array of subjects, from the natural world to historical events, scientific discoveries, and biographical accounts. By reading nonfiction, children have the opportunity to explore these topics in depth, expanding their understanding of various subjects and phenomena. So what this means is if you have that kiddo who tends to hyper-focus on one thing and just wants to go further, or if you have that talented and gifted kid who doesn't need to do the normal learning that needs to be challenged, you need to have them go off on one topic, but do it more fully. This would be where those nonfiction books come in for either of those kiddos, right? Whether it's the kid who's hyper-focused on one area or whether it's the kid who needs to be challenged, either of these areas, and those are usually two other areas, opposite areas, Both of those kids can hugely benefit from your nonfiction reading. But they need to know how to read the nonfiction. Critical thinking skills. Nonfiction reading requires children to engage in critical thinking as they assess the credibility of the information presented. This is actually even bigger today than it was 20 years ago because they learn to question assumptions, consider different perspectives, and evaluate evidence, fostering a habit of skeptical inquiry. Oh my gosh, that is like one of my favorite words or phrases. I would love it if everybody in the world today looked at the news, looked at what people were saying, looked at everything with skeptical inquiry. That doesn't mean that they're angry. That doesn't mean that they don't believe. It doesn't mean anything. Just an expression of, that would be so awesome. And that's what kiddos need to learn how to do with the nonfiction. Vocabulary development. Nonfiction texts often introduce specialized vocabulary related to specific fields of study, and as children encounter these words in context, they learn their meanings and how to use them appropriately. This exposure to diverse vocabulary enriches their language skills and enhances their ability to communicate diversely and effectively. It improves academic performance. Exposure to a variety of text types, including nonfiction, has been linked to higher reading achievement. Students who read a diverse range of texts tend to perform better academically as nonfiction reading builds background knowledge, vocabulary, and comprehension skills necessary for success in school. Cultural awareness. Nonfiction books offer insights into different cultures, traditions, and ways of life from around the world. Through reading about people from diverse backgrounds, children develop empathy and cultural sensitivity, broadening their worldview and fostering a deeper appreciation for the richness of human experience. Stimulating curiosity. This is where we all started when we were just little kiddos. It's the curiosity. Nonfiction reading ignites children's curiosity about the world around them by introducing them to intriguing facts, fascinating stories, and compelling ideas. As they delve into topics that capture their interest, they become motivated to learn more, driving their intellectual curiosity and fueling a lifelong love of learning. So it's so interesting about this. My youngest, even at like 15, loved Mythbusters. Right? And that's a nonfiction book. Those kind of things. He still loved that stuff. Enhanced comprehension skills. Nonfiction texts often contain structural elements such as headings, subheadings, diagrams, captions, all of those bolded words, everything like that, which serve as cues to help readers navigate and understand the information more easily. By learning how to interpret these features, children improve their ability to comprehend complex texts and extract meaning from them effectively. Content organization. Nonfiction is usually structured with those headings, subheadings, and bullet points, making it easier for children to grasp main ideas and key details. This also then provides a model for students to use in their own writings so they can clarify ideas and create outlines. Complex sentence structures. Exposure to varied writing styles enhances their understanding for sentence formations and grammar. Nonfiction texts typically have a sentence structure not seen in fictional texts. This helps your child grow in their writing and comprehension. Okay. We get it. Nonfiction is really important, Kara. But how do we get our kiddos to enjoy nonfiction? Here are some pointers to get your kiddos interested in nonfiction. Interests. Many children have natural interests. If your child is curious about a topic, explore it. Here are some popular ideas. You ready? We're going to go fast. Dinosaurs, unicorns, trains, airplanes, mushrooms, universe, cars, trees, flowers, emergency vehicles, careers, like emergency careers, fish, sports like snowboarding, water skiing, volleyball. You can have all kinds of sports. Characters, whether they're video, book, or movie, ninja, warriors, horses, spiders, bugs, butterflies, mermaids, mythology, unusual animals like zebras, porcupines, platypus, sloth, pirates, volcanoes, so many different topics. Field trips. Offer a field trip to a related topic to one you read about. An example would be if your child enjoys cars. Read a book about cars, and then attend a car show or a car museum. Leaf through the book in advance. Make sure that the images are engaging and that there are a good amount of images to the amount of text. You also want to make sure that the text size is good and that there's a lot of white space, especially for young readers. Comic adaptations. So I would say probably 20 years ago, graphic novels started becoming a thing, with Diary of a Wimpy Kid and, all of those. Explore non-fiction stories adapted into graphic novels or comic book format. This can make complex information more accessible and engaging for young readers. And who doesn't love a comic book? Book to movie adaptations. Introduce your child to nonfiction books that have been adapted into movies or TV series. You can compare and discuss the differences between the two formats, enhancing also their critical thinking and observation skills. Incorporate technology. Explore educational apps or websites that gamify learning nonfiction topics. I don't love recommending anything online, but there are a lot of really good websites for this type of thing because these sites make the reading experience more interactive. And we talked about 2 or 3 weeks ago about struggling readers. And this is one way to help your struggling reader because this will make it more enjoyable and it is a much more easier format. Popular sites include Discovery Education, National Geographic for Kids, and Smithsonian Learning Lab. By exposing them to real-life stories and fascinating facts, we spark their curiosity and build a strong foundation for lifelong learning. The movie quote, "Life is full of possibilities. You just need to know where to look." Joe Gardner in Soul.
If you are hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode, and for that, I want to send you a huge thank you. Please leave me a comment or review and share with other moms you know. Get in touch in the comments or on Kara's social media networks. See you next week for a new episode.